People criticized a woman for dyeing her dog's fur red, but the reason why she did it is sad. A woman named Chloe sparked outrage because she dyed her dog's fur bright red. When she posted videos of her red dog online, many people came to comment, accusing Chloe of turning a living being into a fashion accessory. Others said she simply did it for attention, and some even said it was cruel to the dog, as it may get confused. But Chloe loved her dog named Dan, and had been dyeing his fur red for years, long before she made any videos about him.
People keep reporting us. This whole situation is really frustrating.
Eventually, the backlash became too much, leading to Chloe revealing the sad reason why she dyes her dog Dan bright red. That is, to prevent him from being kidnapped. You may be wondering, who would kidnap a dog? Well, you see, Dan is a Great Pyrenees Dandy, which can cost anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. You may think this is overly cautious, but that's where this story takes a dark turn. There had been instances in Chloe's neighborhood of Great Pyrenees Dandies being kidnapped, and then later sold for a big profit. Many people don't realize that dog kidnapping is a big business. The dogs are normally kidnapped to be sold or used in dog fights.
Thieves quickly resell stolen dogs to make money.
It's a surprisingly common crime. For example, in April 2025, 160 dogs were rescued from one house in South Carolina, with almost all of them being stolen dogs. However, dog thieves normally avoid dogs with obvious markings. They normally sell the dogs in the same area where they're stolen, meaning the dog's owner might see it around, as people who buy stolen dogs often don't realize they're stolen, which explains why Chloe dyed Dan's fur red. The dye will last for 6 weeks every time Chloe does it, giving Chloe and the police a big window to find Dan, if he was ever lost or stolen. It's sad Chloe felt the need to do this, but because other Great Pyrenees Dandies had been stolen in her area, she felt she had no other choice. But what happens when the worst case scenario actually happens? That's what happened to this man named Wang Yan. In 2012, 26-year-old Wang from China came home from work. His dog would normally greet him whenever he came home, but this time, things were different. Wang's dog was nowhere to be found, leading Wang to believe his dog had somehow escaped. But after searching day and night for several weeks, Wang's dog was still nowhere to be found, which is when Wang began to suspect something more sinister might have happened to his dog. You see, in China, sometimes dogs are kidnapped and are then sold to slaughterhouses for meat. Also in China, slaughterhouses often pick up stray dogs, so Wang decided to check his local slaughterhouse. And while he didn't find his own dog, he was horrified to see so many other dogs being butchered for their meat. At this point, Wang realized his dog was likely gone for good, but he couldn't bear to leave all of the dogs in the slaughterhouse behind, knowing that all of these dogs would soon lose their lives. So Wang became determined to try and do something about it. Wang had built up a net worth of several million yuan, as he owned a steel factory. So Wang decided to simply buy the entire slaughterhouse, saving all the dogs he'd just seen. But Wang didn't stop there. He soon bought the abandoned factory next to the slaughterhouse, and turned it into a rescue center for stray dogs. But Wang still wasn't done. Over time, he continued to expand his shelter. Eventually, it got so big, over 1,000 dogs were staying there at one time. The shelter took over Wang's entire life. He stopped working to take care of the dogs full time, and poured every penny he had into the shelter, eventually even declaring bankruptcy, as he had spent all the money he had on saving dogs' lives. Despite being bankrupt, Wang refused to accept any donations, instead telling people to send food and supplies for the dogs, instead of a single penny for himself. Since that day when Wang bought the slaughterhouse, he has saved thousands of dogs' lives, and most of the dogs he saves go on to be adopted by a loving family. Wang sacrificed everything he had, inspired by the pain he felt when he lost his own dog all the way back in 2012. It's a powerful reminder of the bond between humans and animals, and how far that loyalty can go, with another perfect example being this dog. When a dog's owner passes away, the dog can become very upset, often laying down at their owner's grave, which is exactly what people thought this dog was doing. After this dog's owner passed away, she dug a hole where her owner's grave was. Everyone assumed she was doing this to be close to her owner, but the German Shepherd was actually hiding a big secret. One day, a woman named Vesa was at the cemetery in Serbia, which is is when she saw the dog and went over to pet it. But as she did, she noticed the dog was hiding a litter of puppies that it had been keeping safe in this hole. But there was a problem. The German Shepherd had not been going out to get food and water, leading to both the dog and the puppies being malnourished and unhealthy. The dog had been doing nothing but sitting on her puppies in the hole by the grave, keeping them warm and safe. So Vesa realized she had to step in, as it's almost impossible for a stray dog to care for a litter of puppies. So Vesa took the dog and the puppies home and began to nurse them back to health. After just a few weeks, the dogs began to gain fat and muscle. Eventually, the puppies grew up, allowing Vesa to let other people adopt the puppies, meaning each one went to a loving family, which is something that sadly not every dog has. Every year, 6 million dogs are abandoned by their owners, which is exactly what happened to this boxer dog. On a hot summer's day in 2024, some kids were playing near a drainage canal in India, which is when they saw something moving in the dirty waters. To the kids' surprise, it turned out to be a boxer dog who had been cruelly dumped in the drainage canal. The kids attempted to rescue the dog, but the panicked dog kept wading back towards the river, farther away from the kids. So instead, the quick-thinking kids called the Blue Cross, which is an animal rescue charity in India. The Blue Cross made a makeshift rope leash, and then used it as a lasso to pick the dog up, carefully lifting it out of the water. The boxer dog was soon taken to a sanctuary, where it was given the name Boxy. Boxy loved the sanctuary, but dreamed of one day finding a permanent home. A few weeks went by and no one adopted her. But then one day, Boxy's dreams came true. A family visiting the sanctuary decided to adopt her, falling in love instantly, meaning Boxy finally had a permanent family to live with, giving Boxy a second chance at life and a first chance at love. Boxy's new family would never abandon her, and it's thanks to them, the kids in the canal, and the Blue Cross that Boxy is alive and well to this day. An even sadder story took place in April of 2025, when this dog named Raymond was taken to a hiking trail in Michigan by his owner. Raymond probably thought he was about to go on a fun walk, but instead he was dumped on the hiking trail, with his owners abandoning him there and driving away. Raymond stood there lost for 5 days, waiting for his family to come back, not knowing that they had no intention of doing so. Day after day, Raymond would sit on a pile of wood chips, watching the parking lot, hoping his owner would come back. As the days went by, hikers began to notice Raymond, eventually realizing that he needed help. But whenever anyone got near, Raymond would run away, only to return a few hours later to the exact same spot. One woman tried on multiple occasions to save Raymond, attempting to take him with her in her car. But after realizing she couldn't save Raymond by herself, she contacted the KG Foundation, which saves cats and dogs. The foundation arrived on the trail, but they were not prepared for what would happen next. Instead of running away like before, this time Raymond ran right up to them. The rescuers were confused at first, until they realized Raymond had walked over because he could smell their food. He was starving, having not eaten for 5 days. After feeding Raymond, they took him to a shelter, where they saw him do something they'd never seen him do before: wag his tail, a sign that Raymond was finally happy. But while at the shelter, things took a bad turn. Raymond had a nasty case of pneumonia. He was transferred to a pet hospital, but thankfully, after some weeks, Raymond began to get better, finally being friendly and wagging his tail once again. Today, Raymond is still getting better, but as soon as he's fully healed, Raymond will be ready for adoption. So while Raymond's first owners never came back, he will soon be adopted by a brand new family, one that will never abandon him or treat him badly. These stories are proof dogs are humans' best friend, and that people will do anything to protect dogs' lives, even in the face of cruelty. Comment below which of these true stories was the most amazing. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and watch this video next.